We are so honored to have our next guest with us today as we continue our efforts at capturing the inspirational stories of the alumni of Morris Brown College. Her story is truly a dynamic one in that she was instrumental in lowering the debt owed by her alma mater, Morris Brown College, and she joined our last episode and shared her story with our audience. Now, today, we'll have an opportunity to hear her transformational success story. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Shirley Barlow to the Walls of Wisdom podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Shirley.
And thank you for inviting me. Again, I am Dr. Shirley Barlow. I am a 1973 graduate of Morris Brown College. I am an educator under the tutelage of Dr. Ann Cochran, who was the coordinator for educators at Morris Brown. Morris Brown is located in Atlanta, Georgia. However, I am a born citizen of Montgomery, Alabama, and moved to Atlanta when I was 5 years old and attended high school at Price High School and graduated at 19. So before attending Morris Brown, I had teachers. I had the secretary of the high school who was my mentors. I'm from a single family. My mother raised me and a sister and a brother. And I knew that in order for me to be successful, I was going to have to find my route and decide what I want to be. My mother has a 10th grade education, but she expected us to do well, to be successful. And so that was our driving force to make sure that we would be able to take care of ourselves as we move on in life. Again, as I said, the teachers there, I had programs at Price that prepared us. We had a program called Future Teachers of America, and we had teachers that recommended students to be a part of the program. And what they did for us, they talked to us about dress. They talked to us about the requirements to become a teacher. And they also had programs where we had to do presentations, or we had to go in and talk to the students to encourage them. And we had, we would call Future Teachers Day, where we had to dress up and come to school and participate, which also helped to encourage us, to help us decide if this is really what we want to do. My dreams were at first to be a pediatrician. But then after I looked at all the requirements for school, I went, oh no, I don't know if I want to do this. But so I changed over to a teacher. And we had also a program for child development that was presented at our school, and I was able to participate in that as well. And we had students that came to, we had a classroom that was set up for kids. And then sometimes the teachers would bring their kids, and some of the students who may have had younger sisters and brothers brought theirs. And then there was an elementary school not far from our high school where we would go and work with the teachers in the kindergarten classes. That was before they had pre-K. So those two things kind of helped, prepare me for when I got to the college to decide if I want to stay in education. I lived off campus. When I started, they said, well, you got to live on campus for at least 1 year. And so when I started, they said, oh, you got to live on campus your freshman year. And I prayed every day, Lord, please don't let me have to stay on campus. And the Lord heard my prayer. So I didn't have to stay the freshman year. They said, well, you might have to stay your junior year. Then they said the senior year. And I prayed every year again because I did not want to stay on campus. I liked the commute with the bus, and also with I met my husband there, and then we commuted together along with some of my other classmates. And how did I get to Morris Brown? Where I had 3 teachers They were a home ec teacher. Two of them were home ec. No, all three of them were home ec teachers. And one was a secretary. And when it was time for me to complete my application, they told me to fill it out and bring it back to them. So I completed the application, took it back. They looked over it. And one teacher was from Clark, one teacher was from Spelman, and the secretary was from Morris Brown. And so once I finished it, they took my application, they completed my application fee, and they mailed it in for me. So that was enough to say they cared enough for me to make sure that I was able to go on to that next step and making it possible for me to go to school. And then help me with my financial aid, fill that out. And I did get financial aid. And then during that time, work study was real popular. So once I got on and did all my paperwork and registered and everything, I was able to get on work study. And we had a rec at the college that had bowling alley, pool tables, game room, and they had a little restaurant there. So I was able to get on there as an assistant with one of the coaches. And he was also a mentor who became a father figure for me and made sure that I did what I need to do, that I had enough hours for me to be able to stay on track for us being able to take care of my finances. So he's no longer with us, but we continue to stay in contact. And when my husband and I got married, had children, he told the children that he was their grandfather. And so he kept that with them until he passed away. But he was very instrumental in encouraging to make sure that I stayed focused. My experience on campus, I got there to see how everything worked. You know, in high school, you go to class and you're in one building. But when you got to go to college, you had classes you have one at 8, you probably wouldn't have another until like maybe 10 or 2 or something like that. And being an off-campus student, we had a student union building where we could go in the lounge, and we had a cafe that we could buy our lunch. We also had lounges in dormitory where we could go and sit with our friends, or we could go to their rooms and kind of rest up in between classes. So that was one of the things that helped me. And one of the traditions that we did was at noontime, we have a plaza in the center of the campus, and everybody would meet up at noon and either eat lunch on the plaza or just come out there and just be, playing around, talking or whatever until the next class. And we have a clock at the top of our Fountain Hall that the other young man mentioned. That was one of our major classrooms and the clock would chime at 12, and then it did chime every hour. So after lunch, when the clock chimed, everybody made their way back to their classes. So those were some of the things that we enjoyed where we stayed on campus. And with being in college and campus life, you got to meet people from other places. Everybody did not live in the city. Some moved here from other states. And one of the transformations was that I used to be very shy. And when being able to do student teaching, I had to stand in front of the classroom and be able to teach students. So I had to talk to my leader, which was Dr. Cochran, and she would work with me and have me to stand in front of the class and do a presentation to help me get my confidence up so that I could be able to meet my requirements when I went to the school. So when I was assigned to the school, I was assigned to a first grade class, and the teacher was there, and we talked to her, and she also helped me and gave me pointers on things that I could do to hold the interest of the students. And after doing that for a couple of days, it kind of helped me to build my confidence up and be able to handle the students and be able to teach the class. So, um, being a teacher requires you to be able to do those different things, and some of them you have to do one right behind the other, or some almost at the same time. So that was very helpful for me, and that was Dr. Ann Cochran and my teacher, Miss Jones, were my teacher for my student teaching. So I remember and thank both of them for all that they did to help me with that, to be able to carry that out for the number of years that I have taught. Um, in the administration was my teacher, Miss Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Cochran, and Mr. Jones over in the financial aid, who I had to deal with to be able to get on the work study program. And they helped me because they explained to me my responsibility of having a job and being on time, being dressed appropriately, and being able to handle um, the concerns that would come up during the time that I was on duty. And this helped me to decide in 1973, when I graduated, that I would continue to follow this career path as being an educator. And I have completed that with a retirement from teaching for 48 years in 2016. And after being off for a while, my daughter said, "Mama, you need to come and sub," because she was expecting and she wanted me to cover her class. So I went back to substitute teaching. So I've been doing that now for 6 years. So 48 plus 6, give me what, 54 years? So I'm still hanging in there. And I enjoy because now I'm working with students in elementary, middle, and sometimes high school. And I'm able to help students, as they say, if you can save one child at a time, you're doing a great job. And also encouraging them to take this serious. It was being able to find out what it is that they like, what it is that you would inspire to be. And so once we find that out, we can kind of help them stay focused or get focused and be able to achieve their next level. So when I'm working with the kids in middle school, they're preparing to go to high school. And the kids in elementary school, they're preparing to go to middle school. So I try to make sure that I'm setting a good example by the way I dress, the way I talk, and information that I can give them that they feel comfortable enough that they can come and ask me a question. My dreams, as I say, is to make sure that we have been a role model for the students and continue to um, encourage them. And when a child tells you that, "Thank you for helping me," or "I like the way you answer my question," then that means that I have made an impact on that student. And I look forward to it. And then once the students, some of the students I have taught have graduated, they have sent me invitations to their graduations, which makes me feel real good because they thought about me and continue and want to keep in touch. I would consider Marsh Brown Sacred Institution because we have a history of educators who have not only have you as a student, but when you come in, they cater to your whole body, your whole self, your mind, your personal needs, your guidance. So they don't just cater to teaching you the academics, but they also teach you how to what world needs. Once you leave Marsh Brown, how would you be able to handle this? If you need a guidance for personal needs, if it's time for you to go for an interview, they'll help you with preparing for that. They help you work on your resumes. It also give you other pointers about uh, life, life skills, like if you don't know how to balance a checkbook, how to pay a bill, and some students, they living off campus, they listen have to pay their own room and board. So we have to teach them how to do that and let them know. I've had to deal with some students with that same question is they come to the school and then one is they could be homesick because they never been away from their family. Two, they have to manage their own finances. Three, they don't know where they're going to get the next meal or things like that. So we have had to help students to sit down and let's write this out so we can find out what it is that you actually need or whatever you're doing, because some students have not had to do that. So we had to work with them and teaching them how, as I said, putting money to the side. You can't spend all your money at one time because you know you got next week coming. So you have to learn how to budget, and taking care of personal needs. You got to go and do your laundry. You got to go and buy you something to eat. You got to go get your personal needs. So sometimes we have to sit down with that student and write it out so that they can see it, and we tell them, put it on your wall. And this is like a reminder. And then if it's something that you don't understand, they had our number and they could call and ask questions, even down to maybe going to the doctor or having an appointment or whatever. So those kind of things that we do personally, and it is taking care of the whole person and not just the student part of that, and nurturing them. And that's part of the things that we talked about, a haven for hungry souls. We nurture them, we teach them, we love them, so they know that they are a personal part of us and not just a student. Maybe after a couple of weeks they've been there, we have like a call meeting and reinforce to find out, if everything's going well, and we tell them, don't sit over there at your room or wherever, and you need something or you're not getting things and you don't understand, come and ask. And there's several people we have appointed that they can go to. And then like I said, we give them our phone numbers. And that's that's a tradition that we had when we came, and we try to keep that tradition going. Even like with Eula, the years that he was there before me, and my husband who was there before me, but it's the tradition. And that's what, everyone there that we know of have done. And we are trying to make sure we keep that. My wild experience is, as I said, I lived off campus, so I would always go either to the sub, which was a student union building we called the sub, to the lounge. We had Fountain Hall, which on the bottom floor had a lounge, and then we had, like I say, the dormitories. By me living off campus, I didn't have a room, but I would go to the lounge, and we had a lounge in Fountain Hall on the bottom floor. And one of the girls that I would always be with after lunch asked me, was I coming? And I said, yes. So I told her I'd be there in about 15, 20 minutes. So anyway, when I got there, it was real quiet. So I was just wondering, did they come or did they change their mind? So when I went in and I opened the door, they had decorated the room pink and green. And I was getting married in April. And they had thrown me a bridal shower in the lounge during our lunchtime. And that was just some of my sorors and some of my friend classmates and everybody. It was really nice and it was unexpected with me. As you say, the wow, and that was wow. So that was one of the wows that I really, really, I remember. And then, this year we will be celebrating 54 years. No, 53 years. No, 72 is 53 years. And I just celebrated 50 years of being your soror.